And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how the hell are you?
What's up, buddy? Doing well. It's Monday. It's a sunny day out, surprisingly. Nice and chilly. It's beautiful in the studio. I'm excited to be here, Brian.
And it's a Tony tie-dye Monday as well.
I know. I wish I got the memo. I think I wore that one on Friday. That shirt.
But just so comfortable. It just really, I think honestly, probably my first tie-dye shirt I've ever owned. Honestly, I've never been a tie-dye guy, but I have to say, I love this shirt. It's always one of those things, like, you know how you have your certain shirts where you're like, okay, I want to wear this. It's comfortable. It's like
right.
Tight and constraining. Every time I'm looking for this shirt.
No, yeah, dude, it is so comfy. It's soft. It's a great shirt to boot.
And Matthew agrees. Great shirt, kid. Appreciate it, bud.
You look marvelous.
What do we got from Buffer? What's he chirping about?
All right, so Buffer's coming in hot here about the Empire State Building. He wants to know our thoughts on the Empire State Building lit green to signal.
Bless you.
Bless you. Thank you. To signal the Eagles a victory. And then he goes on to say, I am done as a Giants fan. I know the Giants are not directly responsible, but what a huge slap in the face. New York sports are dead. What a joke.
You know, Buffer, and I know because you followed me on Twitter, because I know you commented. I forgot. It was something with I think the Yankees losing, you're chirping me or whatever. But I'm sure you saw this morning because Craig Carton was tweeting about it. And I tweeted at him and I said, Greggy, easy does it, bud. I mean, we got the Yankees. For you and Tony, you got the Mets. Let's not say New York sports is dead. It's a big year coming up for baseball, and the New York Giants, please, let's not let them ruin it for us. No, Tony?
Yeah, I guess so. I do think it's kind of odd that, they would light up the colors for a team that's not from New York. I think it is kind of stupid. That being said, the Empire State Building did say whoever, I guess, wins this weekend, they would show their team's colors on the Empire State Building. So I guess they didn't renege on what they said, but it's still it's weird. I don't remember the last time the Empire State Building did that for a team, not, lighting up different colors. I think pretty sure they did purple and gold for when Kobe passed away, but they never, I don't think they've ever done where another team has won something and they showed their colors. I don't.
Yeah,
think really
I almost
happened,
think it was like a bet, possibly between the mayors. That's the only thing. I haven't seen that, but maybe. I would think, or somebody, in the government. But like I said, prefer the Giants season is over, and you have to be pumped for the upcoming baseball season. And actually, I was listening to the fan on the way in. Your buddy Gio was talking, and I don't know if he made this up. I guess he didn't, but he claims on, I want to say Friday when the Islanders were playing, that he was there and he was there with Sal Licata and Boomer Esiason's daughter, because her husband, Matt Martin. And then he said that he was sitting next to Steve Cohen, was having lengthy conversations with him.
Really?
And I guess Steve had inboxed him when he said he wasn't eating till the Mets acquired a superstar a couple years ago. But of course, Steve didn't remember it, this and that. But there's no way that Steve Cohen, talking to Gio for a couple minutes, doesn't think he's a complete doofus.
Yeah, honestly, especially, oh gosh.
So I just thought that was kind of funny. And this is the, we don't need to go to the world because this is the only news over the weekend about this. I just wanted to get your thoughts before we get to Championship Sunday on the Jeff McNeil extension, Tony.
Oh, dude. I love it. I think, you think about Jeff McNeil just in general, obviously, winning the batting title, the year that he had, what was it, 4 years, 5 years?
I was it 4 for 50?
4 for 50. Yeah. I think it's a great deal, honestly.
Do you know what the arbitration? I mean, it has to be buying out at least 2 years of arbitration, I would imagine, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's I think he has a 50-year option, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because especially you don't know how guys are going to transcend. We know, the fielding is great, the average is great, but what if he turns into a guy that's hitting 25 home runs, especially with the fences moved in? I mean, I would think that would make him a $35 million a year player, and they're getting him for like 12.
Yeah, which is sweet, and he hits consistently. He did so well for the Mets last season. I mean, huge get, dude.
Yeah. So those are the type of deals that you love, and
especially because I mean, it seemed like 2 years ago, like he was going to be moved
with the whole
Lindor situation, and he didn't have a great year that year either. So it was like, do we really need this guy? Like, sort of deal, and stuck with him and paying dividends. Brian.
Yeah. No, he's obviously a big part of what the Mets are hoping to do, next season. But day by day, today's the last day of the month. So you think about it, we're a couple weeks away from the start of pitchers and catchers. Are you kidding? Are you pumped? Let's go, Tony. I mean, it is around the corner, and we could say spring's in the air. Could we say that?
I think we can say spring is in the air.
There we go. But yeah, we know there's so much to talk about. So let's go to the world of the National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. To Evans, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
How about that throw?
Sam Darnold blasted. Oh my goodness, did he take a hit? In trouble, what? Brings him down. Lost one from Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down, touchdown.
All right, Tony. So Championship Sunday, we finally have our Super Bowl matchup, but of course, we got to talk about how the hell we got there. 2 games, of course, NFC Championship first. What was supposed to be, a highly anticipated, close, tough, gritty game between the NFC's elite was really nothing of the sorts. After Christian McCaffrey in the first quarter, which was a ridiculous run, and the only positive thing for the Niners all game long, where he broke 3 tackles for like a 20-something yard touchdown. Other than that, the rest of the game was absolute trash for the Niners. And obviously the big reason being both of their quarterbacks got hurt. Brock Purdy clearly could not throw the ball, some type of elbow injury. I've not heard the specifics on it. So that obviously really hampered them. Former Jet legend Josh Johnson comes in, gets concussed. So then they have to put Purdy back in. He can't throw. The elbow's bothering him. McCaffrey has to come in at quarterback. And you can imagine just what a disaster that was. So at the end of the day, the Eagles defeat the San Francisco 49ers 31-7. And it really is a shame. This is obviously the Niners' only loss since October. And obviously it ends their season in a game that you have to feel like at the very least would have came down to the last possession had they not had these injuries, this injury situation with the quarterbacks. So you really feel for them. And I don't mean to discredit Philadelphia. Obviously, they've had a great season. We know this game was close. Really, almost half of the game was close. And then the second half, San Francisco literally did not do anything. they're running on 3rd and 20. So the Eagles, just completely blow them out. But I just, 31-7, it seems big. It seems impressive. I think they're favored for the Super Bowl now. But in my eyes, I'm not really impressed with this. This almost, to me, means as much as a win over the 3rd-string New York Giants. Honestly, I'm just kind of curious what you think.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you still have to kind of give it to the Eagles. I understand, like, they still scored 31 points on San Francisco with that defense. That is pretty impressive. Miles Sanders was running all over the field. Obviously Hurts had an okay game. He was 15 of 25, 121 yards through the air, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Got sacked once, but whatever. Devonta Smith had a couple good catches, but he only had 2 receptions. AJ Brown, 4 receptions over 8 targets. I mean, yeah, I guess it wasn't as impressive as you would expect the Eagles to do, but I mean, they ran into some significant problems with, still kind of trying to go against this Niners defense. And I do consider them kind of lucky that, that the Niners were kind of struggling with Purdy's injury and Johnson's injury. It really is kind of, what a worst nightmare would really look like for the Niners. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Phillies still played a good game, no turnovers, nothing, nothing bad.
Yeah, I just think it changes everything. And I know you could say, well, let's relax a second. I mean, the Niners defense, they weren't impacted by this, but they were, because they were constantly on the field. So they're constantly worn out. There's constantly so much pressure on it. We can't even throw a 10-yard pass because we don't have a quarterback. So that completely changes everything. And I just am disappointed because I just feel like San Francisco was the better team. And it's just a shame to lose this way. At least if they had lost, giving their best shot and it's a field goal at the end. But to get blown out like this, I mean, it really is tough. And there really is so many questions, for the Niners going forward. What's this Purdy injury? Is it Tommy John? Like, I don't even know. What's their strategy for quarterback next year? I mean, you'd imagine Jimmy G's gone, but do they keep Lance around because his value is soured? And speaking of soured, it feels like this season ends on a sour note, but when you really look at it, it was full of so much promise, and they just got a bad break at the end. And moving forward, you would still expect them to be one of the best teams in the league. They just have to solidify and make a decision at the quarterback position. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think they will. I mean, I think they're going to keep Lance around. I mean, they're not paying Lance much right now.
Yeah,
right?
I mean relative. I mean, this quarterback should make $50 million.
Right.
What's Trey Lance making? 7.
And of course you can't get rid of Purdy. I mean, kind of what he did for you this season. I understand. Again, sour note. You really can't see. I suppose what he'll be like after, however this injury kind of plays out. What he'll be like next season. Unfortunately, he really wasn't able to really kind of see this season out. So, I mean, you don't want to get rid of him. You want to take another chance on him for sure. Because the way he played was really good for someone of his stature to come in here and to be asked of what he was being asked for, and to kind of not only but definitely be successful. Absolute gut-wrenching loss. But, I understand, injuries are things you kind of have to account for and just kind of roll with the punches. There are sometimes things that are out of your control, obviously. But I don't know, dude. I just feel like, they put Purdy back in there and the guy can't throw. So like, I don't know, like why not just have McCaffrey at QB?
Should have had McCaffrey at QB,
right?
And then also too much of the end around, and like at least with those, like throw the ball. You can't do you're tossing it 3 times and expect you're going to have the seal to the outside. There's no way that was going to work against the Philly defense. So I think they were in a tough position, but they should have been able to do more than get shut out in the second half. So, that being said, I mean, I guess what I'm kind of pointing to with the Eagles, and maybe, Hurts, the shoulder's still bothering him. We'll have a couple weeks here to rest before the Super Bowl. But just his overall body of work, I mean, 15 of 25 for 121. I mean, 4.8, per attempt. So that's, check down Charlie. And running the ball 39 yards on the ground, had the touchdown. It's weird. It wasn't, it wasn't a lower body injury. It was a shoulder, but for some reason, even running the ball, I don't know what you thought, but he almost doesn't seem as explosive.
Yeah, I would honestly agree with that. And you saw a few times, I think there was one play, I forget what it was, definitely second half, but he took a pretty significant hit. And he looked like he was wincing, at that shoulder and everything like that. And it was a hard hit too. So I would imagine, and he actually, I think he said it actually at the end of the game, that he's not 100%.
Right.
With his shoulder. So, that's still bothering him, whether that's affecting his throwing or his confidence in running. Yeah,
and I guess tentative with the running, because obviously you take a hit at the shoulder. So I guess I wasn't thinking about it in that respect, just because it's not a leg injury.
Right.
So and we'll talk about the matchup in a second. But overall, I mean, Philly, of course, the body of work. I mean, they had a great season. So they, in a way, they obviously do deserve to be here. They took care of business. And while their passing game, their run game in this game, and even the last couple games, other than the Giant game, which I think, obviously there was a mismatch there, but we didn't see that explosive, like unstoppable offense. But maybe with a couple weeks off, we will see that.
Yeah, I think so.
Time will always tell. But I have to say, thank God the next game was an all-time classic, Tony, because it's NFC Championship.
Big bore, dude.
It's so disappointing. I know we're going back here, but it almost reminded me of 2000. I think it was 15. Panthers, Cardinals. I was so riled for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe because he went to USC and I've always kind of liked them, but I was a big Carson Palmer fan. I was a fan of the renaissance with the Cardinals. It seemed like after playing with the Raiders, his career was kind of over. So they go against Cam Newton and the Panthers. I'm expecting the Cardinals. I think they're the better team. I think they're going to win. And it was a similar result to this, not close from the beginning, defensive touchdowns, all of that.
It's tough.
And it really soured it. And of course, the next game was the classic Broncos versus Patriots, when the Patriots went for 2 at the end, didn't get it. Manning makes it to the Super Bowl. So that was obviously a good one before, of course, falling to I think the Seahawks at that time. But so that's just kind of what it reminded me of. But like I said, all-time classic for the second game. The Kansas City Chiefs, for the third time in 5 years, are in the Super Bowl after a 23-20 victory over the Bengals. And this might have been the best game of the entire season. I mean, there's so many different things we could talk about. But obviously the biggest storylines, and we didn't know about this when we were on the air Friday, but Travis Kelce had suffered an injury at practice Friday, like the second last play. And he was actually a game time decision. So obviously that would change things. He ends up gutting it out. And then Patrick Mahomes, that high ankle sprain, guts this game out, leads his team to victory.
Yeah, crazy.
326 yards, 2 touchdowns. And like I said, very back and forth. Just to kind of summarize things, Chiefs get on the board in the first quarter after forcing a 3-and-out with Cincinnati. Harrison Butker from 43 yards out made it 3-0. They add a second field goal 2 seconds into the second quarter. Butker from 24, 6-0. McPherson cuts the deficit to 6-3, 8:36 into the second with a 30-yard field goal. But then the Chiefs make it 13-3 after a 14-yard pass from Mahomes to Kelce. Who else, right? Which is a connection, that is just so money. And at that point, I was thinking, wow, I mean, we haven't seen this between these two teams. But it seems like this one could get away. This could be a blowout, despite, what all the Chiefs had to deal with here and the tough time the Bengals have given them. But right before the half, literally 2 minutes, taking up the whole clock, the Bengals, cut that deficit 13-6, forced the Chiefs to punt coming out of the locker room there. And then T. Higgins, what a receiver he is. 27-yard touchdown pass from Joe Burrow. Really good catch. It just so perfectly executed. So that ties it at 13. So here we go again. Anybody's game. And your guy, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 19 yards out from Mahomes to make it 20-13.
Yeah.
And there was 4:15 left in the third at that point. So 20-13. But the Bengals early on, first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, 2-yard touchdown pass to tie it at 20. A bunch of back and forth situations, a Mahomes fumble, a scenario where we expected the Chiefs to go for it. They punt with like 3 minutes left, but fortunately for them, Chris Jones had a huge game, and really everyone was talking about on the radio this morning might have been a reason, only reason possibly, or just was the difference maker, I guess is what I'm trying to say. In the Chiefs winning this game, he was all over the field. The Chiefs with that very young, inexperienced secondary. He had 2 sacks. Frank Clark, 1.5 sacks as well. But Chris Jones, it just seemed like every play was impacting. So big sack there to force a punt. The Chiefs get the ball back. Very little time left on the clock. They had some timeouts, and let's see here. So it was they had 26 seconds to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mahomes, has an incompletion, and on a third down, scrambles for the first down on that ankle, which was so impressive. I mean, he threw for 326 and 2 touchdowns, but making that run when you need to, where they would have had to punt, it would have had to go into overtime. You're giving up control of the game. He somehow gets the first, and it would have been like a 60-yard field goal for Bucker, which they would have attempted, but which would have been tough.
Right.
But that late hit,
so stupid.
15-yard penalty makes it a 45-yard field goal. The Chiefs make it, go to the Super Bowl. And then after the game on the podium with Nance, your guy actually, Travis Kelce, calling out the mayor of Cincinnati. I don't even know what exactly the line was, but something from WWE. But, just referring to how they said, oh, this is Burrowhead Stadium. And here we are, the Chiefs taking care of business. What a game. What a life, Tony. I mean, I don't even know what else to say other than this was so riveting, so exciting. And this game is exactly what Championship Sunday is about.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is definitely the better game of the two yesterday. Another, just absolute gut-wrenching loss for the Bengals here. I mean, it was a really tough game, I think, for Joe Burrow. I mean, I think he was sacked 4 times in the first half. Really not a lot of offensive production. The score showed that, of course. And then, you see on the other end of the field for Kansas City, you get Patty Mahomes just hobbling everywhere. Is that actually, super impressive to see Mahomes really gut out that injury. I would imagine, looking at how taped up his ankle was, didn't have much mobility with it, as I'm sure he really wouldn't be able to move it anyway. But you notice putting any type of weight on it was absolutely killing him. I don't know, dude. It was a pretty crazy game. I'm watching this, obviously I watched this, last night. You got to call into question a couple things with how refs were kind of calling this game. Obviously, there was, I forget, I think it was either third quarter, maybe even fourth quarter when, the Chiefs, it's like third and whatever, play runs and they don't get the first down. It's all right. It's like 4th and 6 or whatever it was. They're going to go punt. And all of a sudden, like, play's not starting again. They're kind of all waiting around. The refs are talking about something. And then all of a sudden you see like the Chiefs offense come back on the field. Even Tony Romo is like, what are they going for on 4th and 6? Like right now, like that's pretty crazy. And all of a sudden changes back to 3rd down. He goes, oh, it's 3rd down. And the refs were like, oh yeah, that last play didn't count. It's 3rd down again. Like what?
Yeah.
What, Brian?
I heard the whistle though. I have to say, I don't know if you heard the
no,
whistle.
You didn't hear the whistle. No way. No fucking way, dude.
No, Tony. I heard the whistle live, but also sometimes I feel like, I don't know if it's like sound alike, but sometimes I think I hear whistles and I don't. But that one I specifically heard the whistle, but I saw them play on. So I was very surprised after the play plays out that there was still another play.
Dude, they ran a whole another play for like they gave him a whole like a 3rd down again. Right.
And then there was a penalty.
And then the Eli Apple had the pass interference, of course, automatic 1st down. And fucking your boy on Cincinnati, the head coach, I forget his name. Cincinnati's head coach. Anyone?
Zach Taylor.
Did
you think I would miss that one? Come on.
Yes.
I can name every head coach in the league right now.
Absolutely. Can you?
But the only thing is new hiking. Wow. Hiring cycle, Tony.
Anyway, dude,
everybody plays like a name.
Dude, absolutely.
Give me a team. Go.
Absolutely
one random team.
Atrocious, dude. Honestly, absolutely like just so atrocious that I feel like the ref work was just horrible. And then even in the 4th quarter too, when the Chiefs were running down the field, there was like probably 2 minutes. The ref was just standing over the ball and everyone's just like waiting. Like, what is going on, dude? Like, what are they doing? And then, of course, you mentioned like I see it all over Twitter too, how many missed calls. I understand there's missed calls all the time. But I think it was the play where Mahomes, the unsportsmanlike conduct for the last play that set him up for the field goal. Yeah. There was like two guys were being held at the line of scrimmage on the fucking punt return. There was a block in the back or something like that. People were pointing these things out, and it's like, dude, like, what are those? Like, dude, rigged. I wish Mike was here because he would totally agree with that.
You know what we didn't talk about, and I'm surprised you missed this one. Yeah, after reviewing the play, we could not tell if the
Ball
ball hit the
cable.
wire.
Yeah.
What?
I
mean, there will never be another soundbite like that again.
Literally never, dude.
That was insane. And like the way, I mean, I guess there wasn't, photographic evidence of that happening, but just trajectory wise, I don't know how it didn't hit the wire.
I mean, they kind of cut to like the wide angle too to show from the replay, which they did it seemed like they were avoiding that for a while because they probably fucking knew. And you saw, you didn't see it hit the wire, but you see it go up and then something happens where and also, what the fuck are the refs doing? Nobody's watching the ball. How many refs are on the fucking field? No one's watching the ball for a punt.
No,
what are you looking at, dude?
No, but I also I feel like there were at least one time, maybe a couple times, where they started explaining, whatever was happening, and then they just paused and have a side conversation. It's like, how do you not have this set before you get on the mic?
They knew nothing, dude. Jay Bird, by the way, a couple comments. He goes, Brian's got dog hearing. That was a phantom whistle, he said. NFL rigged.
We might have to break that down on screen time, and I'm telling you, we could get the bite by bite, and you could hear the whistle. I'm telling you, a breakdown. We're gonna start doing screen time breakdowns across platform.
I'm down. Let's do it.
But
so ridiculous, dude. Those refs gotta be fired, bro.
But I do feel like though, and he says, NFL rigged. I know. It almost seems like I'm a defender, but deep down, I truly don't believe that it's rigged. I think there's a combination of reasons why things that happen that in our eyes feel unexplainable, but why they happen. And I think the first one that we just have to be realistic with, Tony, is some refs are just bad. And it doesn't mean that they're showing favoritism. They're literally just bad. They miss things. So I think that's the first part of this. And then the second one is, if you want to say certain teams, certain players, there's some type of preferential treatment with calls that could go either way. I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, I do feel like the players decided the result of this one, and the Bengals were right in this game 100%. And I know without that penalty, it's a 60-yard field goal, but it's like that Asai or whatever his name is, the defensive the defensive lineman. I mean, he knows, every single person in the NFL, every single person watching the NFL knows the sensitivity in hitting the quarterback the last couple of years. So you have to be careful. It sounds ridiculous, momentum carrying you, this and that, but you got to know that. I mean, at the end of the day, as ridiculous it is, as frustrating it is, you got to know that. So that's on him. And then I couple it with the Bengals had a chance there to hold possession and kick a game-winning field goal, but they didn't. So that's on them. They didn't protect well. The Chiefs got in there for a sack. So at the end of the day, they didn't make enough plays to win. And while there was some effect of bad calls with the refs, I don't think you could list it as the sole reason why the Bengals didn't win this football game.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, obviously, if the Bengals, did better in the first half, they would have won.
Right. Exactly. But I'm kind of curious, and I know we joked around about this a lot, but strictly just from a football perspective on Mahomes and Kelsey to an extent, Tony, with them dealing with the injuries and really getting over the hump here, they hadn't beaten the Bengals. Have you gained in your eyes any more respect or just kind of look at them a little differently after pulling out this win and getting to their third Super Bowl in 5 years?
Travis Kelce, I mean, I guess not so much. I mean, I'm not really aware of the extent of his injury. It didn't really seem like he was battling with anything. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, know the extent of his injury, and based on just watching him, you can see how much pain he was in. So yeah, you gotta give him some props for just kind of getting up there, taping his ankle a little bit extra, and just kind of gutting it out. Because I mean, he was in a lot of pain, dude. It looked like.
And I'm not talking about just decorated and counting rings, but just in terms of talent, I'm thoroughly convinced that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen. And, me and Chokri were texting about it yesterday that we both are rooting for him to overtake Brady as the best quarterback of all time. Obviously a long way to go, but he's off to a great start. The fact that every year, I think we're just so used to the Chiefs being good, but I'm sure, I guess there's probably some example, maybe way back in the day, but how hard it is to go to the championship game every year to start your career for 5 years as a full-time starter.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And then to make the Super Bowl 3 times. And then you're going to add your second ring possibly. And you think about it too, other than Brady, Tony, I mean, I guess it would be more than 2 championships. Last quarterback, I think, was Troy Aikman. Manning only had 2. As Matt would crack up about, the other Manning only had 2. There's no one I'm missing here. I mean, Russell Wilson only had 1. Joe Flacco only had 1. Ben had 2. Rodgers has 1. So the fact that he could get 2 already, age 27, I mean, at the bare minimum, and I know you can't predict the future, but it's like he's got at least 10 full seasons as a starter. I mean, he could really get close to that 7 number or touch it. So I just think we can't overlook that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think time will tell, but let's take it one year at a time here, Brian.
You're still a little tight about it, Tony.
Well, I mean, dude, 7. Let's
put it. I mean, I'm saying 27, Tony. And the fact too, how about the reason why you can't the reason why you can't rule anything out, we talk about 7. How about the number 10, Tony? 10 years Tom Brady went between Super Bowls and he still ended up with 7. So that's why I'm saying Mahomes could have 10. We have no idea. Well, nobody would have ever said that Brady would get to 7 after going 10 years. It seemed like he would never win a Super Bowl again. And he could have won 9 with those 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. Right. And even 10 if he beat the Eagles.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. But
what do you need, honestly?
What do I need? I mean, I think, just let's take it
to not have distaste, I guess is what I'm asking.
Distaste?
Yeah.
For who? For Mahomes?
Chiefs.
For the Chiefs?
Like the Chiefs just in general, yeah.
No, I like the Chiefs, honestly, in general.
Okay.
I mean, I think, of course, like, being a younger kid, I mean, Chiefs were never really in contention necessarily.
They couldn't win a playoff game forever.
Yeah, forever.
Green.
And all of a sudden now they're like this powerhouse of a team.
Yeah.
And you really like to see that. I like to see kind of a new team emerging, being competitive, as well as, the city. I mean, the fans must be ecstatic. I mean, I'm just thinking about like longtime Chief fans who are now all of a sudden propelled in this position where they're just like going to be going to the Super Bowl almost every year. I mean, I'm more than happy for the guy, obviously, but I think it's like kind of tough to already just like stamp this guy as he can get 10.
But I believe me, I get what you're saying. So hard to win 1, Tony, as we've just documented. I mean, 30 years,
right?
Only 1 guy has won more than 2. But I guess what I'm more just asking though, I just still. Is it? I know we joked around about this last week, but I'm being just dead serious. I know
it's not the family, dude.
So, but I just sense when you're talking about this, you're not happy about it. So what is it at the end of the day? What is it that you're not happy about with Mahomes possibly winning another Super Bowl? What is it for you?
Well, no, it's really not that. It's just, if you ask me, like this season, I think other teams I would have liked to have seen in or win the Super Bowl. For example, the Bengals, like I would have rather have seen them beat the Chiefs.
Okay.
Like Joe Burrow. I think that's another team that, has also struggled to be a contending team.
Right.
And they get Joe Burrow. And for whatever reason, Joe wants to be a Bengal for life. And is improving his game and everything like that. Obviously a young guy, you saw him come in to the league. And even at this point, the Eagles too. I mean, you think about the Eagles, and that was something you called, when we even previewed the year.
Yeah.
Whether the Eagles are going to be really good. And here they are, kind of, putting their money where their mouth is. They have a phenomenal game going. Another quarterback where you see Jalen Hurts, who was a question mark, I feel like, coming into this season in terms of how good he was going to be, kind of proving himself. I think there's a lot of new players proving themselves this year. Those 2 quarterbacks being 2 of them. Mahomes, I already know he's good. He's someone who you could expect to go to the Super Bowl. You expect to be contending. And again, like obviously I love to see him, gut through this injury. But if you ask me, I would have liked to have seen Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl.
Now, is it so basically you're saying because he hasn't won?
Basically, yeah.
And before we continue on, I believe we have a comment.
Yes, from the BIU Binge podcast. They call it Mahomes Burrow classic rivalry already. Last 4 games decided by 3 points. More to come. Not to mention, for a little while there, Burrow was winning those games, and now you kind of have, Mahomes, knocking him out. So I mean, yeah, that rivalry is real. The competitiveness is there. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah, 100%. We really welcome anytime you want to comment. You ever want to call in? Would love to talk about this.
A little cross podcast action.
A little cross podcast action for sure. But yeah, this rivalry is insane, and we just know, Tony, the rarity of no matter what position, even what sport we're talking about, but
right,
guys staying with the same team for their whole career. And I just feel like this is a perfect example. I know stuff could happen, but you have 2 guys that look like they're locked in on the same teams for their whole career.
Wow.
And they're in their mid to late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't beat that. I think they're going to be gutting out every year.
Yeah.
And really the question is, can Josh Allen or any of these other quarterbacks in the AFC break through? But I just feel like, barring a lot of unforeseen circumstances, I don't see it.
I know, dude. Especially Allen kind of blew it this season.
Yeah, I mean, he said the throwing motion, the UCL. Do you think that was? I mean,
I guess if he says it, I mean, without
I
don't think he's the type of guy to make excuses.
I mean, he did have a really good playoffs last year, so it'll be interesting to see how they go about it. We do have another comment.
Another comment from Alfred Anzalone, if I'm pronouncing that right, Anzalone maybe. Joey B was a real deal. Refs sold, he says. It's rigged, baby.
Good to hear from Al again. Enjoyed having him in studio.
How do you say his last name?
Anzalone.
Anzalone?
Yeah.
Anzalone.
I think they pronounce it differently, but there's actually a linebacker. I think he's on the Saints with the same name.
Really?
Like spelling-wise, yeah.
That's pretty dope.
But I think they say Anzalone is what they say, but he's Anzalone. But appreciate him tuning in. What else does he got here?
Allen peaked like Russell Wilson, he says.
I mean,
I don't know about that one.
I don't know, Tony. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Like, it's like
you're over Josh?
I don't know what it's gonna take for him, because
Alfred's just kidding, by the way.
But it's like, I'm saying, just to get over the hump, I just feel like he has some flaws, and these guys are clearly better. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And I guess if I had to take a stab at it, more weapons never hurt anybody, and
better running game.
Maybe a premier running back, even though, like we've talked about, those running backs had pretty good years. They
we did
have the high volume. So,
and I do feel like, I mean, the Bills, they're lost. I just think it kind of did fall on Josh Allen's hands a little bit there.
And it's like, I don't know. I feel like, how often do we see a guy who's in the midst of their career struggle with accuracy, interceptions in the red zone pretty badly, and then completely lose that problem? And I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, those are tough problems. And when he came out, I even thought he was going to be a bust, just because of at Wyoming. And I know the system, the receivers that he's working with, I mean, light years behind what he works with in the NFL. But I was like, this dude has 50% completion, is throwing for 1,700 yards with Wyoming. How the hell is he going to be a great NFL quarterback? And sure enough, he was. Dable maybe have something to do with it, but it is a very interesting topic, and I feel like something we could talk about for a while here.
Yeah.
And Chokery chimes in.
He says, I can't see Josh Allen getting there. Maybe Herbert can make some noise if he goes to another team.
That's interesting. You think about, you put Herbert on either one of these teams. Hard to think that he wouldn't be able to produce similar results. The Chargers, and it's a really good point for Chokery. Obviously one of the most knowledgeable football fans that we have here commenting on the show. Just the Chargers, is it just me, Tony, or do they seem like a cursed organization?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess they kind of had a tough
season. So much
season.
talent. They always have one of the talented rosters in the NFL. Right. They never get anywhere. They went to one, conference championship game back in the Phil River days. Danny Thomason, I think it was 2006.
Yeah.
And they haven't made it back.
I know they really did have a good roster. Who was their running back? Austin Eckler.
Great receiving out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, the tight end, Everett had a great year as well. The defense, Derwin James, Khalil Mack.
You think Herbert goes somewhere else? Jets?
Well, of course, that'd be great. I think, honestly, it depends on what happens the next couple of years. A lot of question marks, though. We went into this season, and we said the AFC West is an absolute gauntlet. People were talking crazy because of Adams and Wilson. People were saying the Chiefs might finish last. I think Adam Shine predicted that the Chiefs would finish last in this division, and we saw how ridiculous, as you would say, Tony, that was.
Yeah.
But going forward, is this still going to be a tough division? Is a coach going to fix Russell Wilson? I mean, with Russ right, I mean, conceivably that should be a really good team. You think about Javonte Williams, the running back who tore his ACL last year. He comes back healthy. You think about Judy. You think about Cortland Sutton. They should be pretty good. And then the Raiders, Tony, I think you said you're not buying that they would be successful, but let's just say hypothetically they re-sign Josh Jacobs and they bring in Tommy. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking they're not going to make the playoffs. No, his comfortability with Josh McDaniels, his old offensive coordinator in New England. I mean, can't they be a playoff team next year if they do those things or no?
Raiders, no.
What is holding? Is it just Brady's cooked? Is that what you think?
Yeah.
I mean, and you ask me, you ask Chokery. I mean, nobody wants that more. I mean, you think back to the bites, Tony, in the beginning of the year. I said this was the year, he falls off a cliff. And I guess for him, that was partially true. First losing record of his career. And even though he set an NFL record for pass attempts, but what good is that when you're 8-10 and you're losing the first round and get embarrassed? So interesting. Where do you think he's going to play?
I don't know. Miami?
So I don't know if this is to, I don't know.
Well, we got
reduce the price, but they're keeping reports that the Dolphins are not interested.
Really?
Committed to Tua.
Are they really?
That's what they're saying.
Dude, he's like one concussion away of not being able to play anymore. Like
scary thought. Obviously, and I know I always go to him, but if you feel like you're comfortable that he could be healthy next year, my thought is really invest in the offensive line. I know it wasn't terrible, but really beef it up because obviously he can't get hit. And then also bring in a proven backup like who do you think I'm going to say?
A proven backup?
A guy that I wanted the Jets to get before the whole Rodgers thing started.
Oh.
He's a legend. Interesting character.
Gardner Minshew? That's who you wanted the Jets to get?
No, before the whole Rodgers thing, I said, I honestly think he could be good. And I know he didn't look the best when he came in.
I think Michael's pretty hyped about Gardner Minshew,
baby. Gardner. I mean, conceivably wouldn't be a bad idea to have him and Rodgers. Yeah, he's a legend in his own right. He also says, let's go.
Best sports show, don't at me, he says.
Michael. Is it a bite? Is it a bite, Michael? Is it a bite? But yeah, I mean, this stuff is NFL talk, and obviously for us, baseball, always be a tear up, Tony. But it is just, you really could talk about it for a while, and it's just so interesting to think about player movement and how players progress and the trajectories of careers, because there definitely are players and teams that you think will never get to the pinnacle. And then they come out of nowhere and do. Like last year, both teams in the Super Bowl, the Bengals and the Rams, no one saw it coming, especially Stafford, what he had to endure in Detroit. Nobody ever thought Matt Stafford would be a Super Bowl winning quarterback and have the same amount of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
How ridiculous is that? Think about all the times he beat him heads up.
Yeah, we'll look at them both now, though.
I think Stafford's going to bounce back, honestly. I really do.
Really?
I think McVay's motivated. You see who's going to be offensive coordinator for the Rams next year?
Who?
Mike LaFleur. So he comes over from the Jets.
Really?
Guarantee it's a whole jet curse thing. Guarantee the Rams top 5 offense next year. Mark it down. Kupp coming back from the injury. and then Stafford. I mean, you put them together. I mean, maybe
Right.
Odell back potentially too.
Who do you think has a bigger bounce back season, Stafford or Rodgers?
It's going to be so close.
Oh.
But what I would say is, as long as Rodgers comes to the Jets, he'll have the bigger bounce back season.
Wow. Only if he's at the Jets.
Only if he goes to the Jets. Michael, some more comments.
Oh, yeah, he's got a few comments. It looks like he says, Tony doesn't like to show my comments. Last Friday, he missed a bunch of them, sadly.
Oh, boy.
Which I do not recall. Wasn't he in studio on Friday?
I think he might have been in and out, right?
Right?
Yeah, because Jay was here. He was here for most of it, actually.
Yeah.
When I think about it.
And he says, but I still support and show love.
I'm trying to hold back here because I feel like recently there's been some sentiment. Maybe I'm giving Tony too hard of a time, so I'm not going to harp on him for that. I can honestly too, and I know I don't usually do this, Tony, but I can honestly buy the whole that you missed the comments accidentally. I really can.
It's quite possible. Yeah.
100%.
What goes on here?
We're all a family here at Downtown.
Yeah.
But that being said, Tony, we get the Chiefs, we get the Eagles, and I guess right now, and I'm sure it fluctuates by the second, but the Eagles are 1.5 favorites.
That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, I guess Mahomes,
because of Mahomes' ankle
and Kelsey not 100%.
But 2 weeks, they're going to be, come on.
They're going to be 100%. So I just have to ask you, I mean, what are your initial thoughts going into this matchup?
I think that the Chiefs better do their homework because, I understand that the Eagles maybe had a little bit of an easier time because of the Niners injuries, but the fact of the matter is they made necessary adjustments on defense to kind of control Debo, to control, McCaffrey, defend the run up on the middle, defend the run on the outside. Anytime, even when they were kind of running these little check down screens or whatever, the Eagles were still on top of it. You saw them run a screen and immediately two Eagles, two bodies right there on the ball runner. I think the Eagles defense is really going to give Mahomes and the Chiefs a run for their money, especially I understand it's 2 weeks, but I would imagine Mahomes even more so aggravated that ankle. If he's a little bit less mobile, if he's makes mistakes like when he tried to throw that screen pass and the ball just slipped out of his hands and he couldn't really plant his foot to jump on the ball, ended up fumbling it and everything. If he makes mistakes like that, I don't know. I think there's even a smaller margin for error for the Chiefs, if you can believe that, than the margin of error they had with the Bengals. 3-point game, obviously small margin for error. So I don't know, dude. I think right now I'm leaning towards Eagles.
Interesting.
What about you? I know where you're leaning.
It's so funny. So when this matchup first came out, to be honest, I was almost thinking, wow, I mean, after it's just going to be a completely different ball game for the Eagles playing the Chiefs. But I just feel like, though, I'm thinking about, so wow, we actually have some breaking news.
You want the breaking news?
Yeah. Our own Michael C. Theophil is reporting that Prefer to Hobbit is going to call into the show. Supposedly, he just called him on the phone. So let's see. Is this it, Tony? Think about how long we've been waiting for this moment.
It should be right now, dude, honestly.
Is he on the line?
I have not gotten anything from him yet.
Okay. We'll hang on. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for him to call in, I was just going to say too, it seems like for whatever reason, the Chiefs just play everybody tight the whole year. It seems like not too many blowouts unless it's a complete mismatch on paper. So that's what I'm kind of thinking, that it's going to be closer than I think it should. But at the same time, I just have a feeling that it's like I could see even the Eagles tying or taking a small lead late. But it seems like the Chiefs, whenever they need a drive, Tony, they do it. They get whatever they need. It seems like almost every single time. I don't know. Do you feel like in terms of just 2-minute offense, late game situations, that they're by far the best team in the league at that.
Yeah.
Think about it. They never fail. It's never like, oh, picked off at the end of the game, lost.
Well,
I mean, I'm saying, but think to memory. Nothing comes up. Is this it? Is
looks
this
like
the
we may have a phone
that we've all been waiting for?
Stand by 1 second. Good morning. You're on the sports report. What do you want to talk about?
I'm telling you, this is different, man.
Wow, it's been quite some time. I'm trying to think back. I mean, what do we think? Was that 8 months ago that you called in? 6 months ago?
Who knows? But last time on the show, I made 2 predictions, and it matches Barnes. I just want to throw it out today. Whatever Barnes picks, I'm going to pick the opposite.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So it seems like you're going to be favoring the Eagles, huh? In 2 weeks.
Eagles, man. Eagles all the way.
But you were with me on the Chiefs going into this game.
Yeah, I was. But I said it before you did. Just want to throw it out.
But hey, I mean, it's an interesting thought for sure. I guess, I mean, but what is your thoughts on what I was just saying, besides the obviously, just the fading nature of what I'm saying for, in terms of the late game situations, that this is a tight game. Mahomes has the ball in his hand. I mean, do you really see them?
For me, the game was too close. For me, the game was too close to comfort. I like a blowout. What the Eagles did was really good, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to blow out the Chiefs.
But don't you think, though, that game against San Francisco, the only reason it was a blowout is because, I mean, Christian McCaffrey was taking snaps at the end of the game at quarterback?
Nah, I don't know. All I know is
sounds like a Tony answer.
It's written in the fate. Eagles are going to blow them out. Mahomes, bum ankle, not going to look good, and that's it.
Wow. I don't know. I have a hard time getting there. I really do.
I don't know. Like I would say, I think Eagles defense, I mean, regardless of who was in at quarterback or who was running the ball, I mean, the Niners, you even said it, are one of the most all-around, or the best all-around teams in the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were down their quarterback. But regardless, the Eagles still found a way to score 31 points on them and to hold them to 7. So, I mean, I think that you still have to give the Eagles some credit there. I think like I said, I think they're going to really do a really good job in kind of containing Kelsey, containing Mahomes. I think their defense is going to cause some issues for Kansas City.
My issue too, I'm just looking at second half of the season.
Yeah.
Postseason. I mean, who have they beaten that's even on the same level as the Chiefs? They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Saints. And then they beat a Giants team that it was a complete mismatch. They beat a team like the Niners that would have been a powerhouse, but they didn't have their quarterback. So I know we keep going back to this, but what litmus test, Tony, have they passed to show that they could beat a team like the Chiefs?
Some of the Giants?
No, the Eagles.
Oh, sorry, the Eagles, rather?
Yeah, give me something. Who do they beat that impressed you? The Packers, the Colts, the Titans?
I mean, Packers 40-33. It's pretty solid. Put up 40 points on them.
A team that went 8-9, didn't make the playoffs. They beat the Cowboys.
They beat the Vikings 24-7.
The Vikings, who lost in the first round.
Obviously, any team I mentioned isn't going to be as good as the Chiefs because these teams are not being in the Super Bowl, right?
The point I'm making is not even just as good, Tony, but not even close to as good. That's my point.
I guess. I mean, a tight game against the Cowboys, they lost. Cowboys are out. Come on, dude.
They beat the Bucs. Prefer, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Prefer, you can't just win 14 games on a fluke.
But I'm saying that doesn't concern you going into this matchup that this is a completely different ball game than what
they look a lot better. Momentum's with them. They got some luck. The guy didn't play so well. He got injured. I don't know, but Eagles gonna win. That's it.
And you're a Giants fan, right?
Was not after yesterday.
But obviously it's still in you somewhere. So being that, I mean, in the same question for you, Tony, and I know it's a little different with you, but how could you root for the Eagles?
I think they're a better team.
But I'm saying there's no divisional.
I'm not rooting for them, but
what? So you want the Chiefs to win?
No, I want the Eagles to win because I know they're a better team. I don't want them to win. I mean, If I was still a Giant fan.
Wow. I mean, I have to say, so now is the main reason the Empire State Building? Is that why you're not a Giants fan, or
No,
is it because of the way they lost?
No, it's like, you only could take so much, it's total disrespect to the New York fans. What makes them think they could light up the Empire State Building green? It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
But would you ever bail on the Mets like that? Or is this just a different situation?
I'm about to. New York sports is dead.
Wow.
I have friends all over the country, right?
Yep.
And I talk to them about sports.
Yep.
And they're more on top of it than we are. At least the people that I know. It seems like people here don't care anymore.
Well, I know I care. I know Tony cares. I know Matthew cares. I know Michael cares. I know Jokery cares. So I think that's enough for now.
Michael gets it. Disrespect to the city with that. It is, dude.
But you know what? Not everybody's a Giants fan, so it's not that disrespectful.
Yeah, but no one in Manhattan's an Eagles fan.
Green for the Jets. Green for the Jets. Rodgers is coming. How do we know it's not relating to that?
Because they said, come on, dude.
Preferred, is Rodgers coming to the Jets?
Nah.
Really? Where do you think he's going?
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's gonna retire. He was gonna retire 2-3 years ago.
I don't know.
Yeah, has that even been in the cards, actually?
I mean, he always just says he has to think about it, but he's such a
baby, dude. What do you even want him for?
He's so selfish. You can't tell me that he's gonna let $50 million leave it on the table. I know he's made so much. I understand that, but he's too egotistical, too selfish, and that's why I want him as my quarterback, because he's gonna be focused on bringing the Jets to the Super Bowl, something that hasn't been done since 1969.
Yeah, I think he's going to be smoking the hashish.
No, wait, what? Do you know what the name of it is? Like that?
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
If he needs to do it, he needs to do it, Tony, honestly. If it's refreshing, why not, right? Come on.
One last question, guys. One last question.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Can I come to your Super Bowl party?
If you honestly want to come, yeah. I don't think we have much plans. I mean, we still got 2 weeks out, I suppose. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, absolutely, prefer. You're certainly invited.
Always welcome. Always welcome.
Okay, thank you.
We can do a live reaction podcast right after
the game. But
hang up.
Boycott the NFL. Indigo.
All right, bye everyone.
All right, thanks, Prefer. Just talk to you soon.
I don't know if I could get there. Boycotting the NFL.
Huge shout out to Prefer on that one, huh, dude?
Yes, absolutely. Stepping up. So Michael delivering as well.
Indigo says boycott the NFL.
I can't do that.
Prefer you can't do that.
You can't do that.
Michael Theophil, it's good for the Pineal Gland and healing. Barnes will be doing ayahuasca tomorrow at 10 a.m. to start off the show.
Oh man.
No? Come on, I'll get you like a piece of pizza. I'll get you some pizza. We have some pizza.
Yeah, there we go.
Right?
But boy, I'm excited for this game. And will you at least give me, Tony, that you think it's going to be down to the wire here or no? Chiefs, Eagles?
Down to the wire. Yeah, all right, sure.
Two powerhouses.
I think Al said it actually earlier, and I want to go back because I don't want to miss any comments. Al says last night game will be better than Super Bowl.
Wow.
And I don't know. I think he might be right, dude.
It's crazy. I really like Mahomes is really becoming my favorite non-Jet player maybe ever, honestly, just because of
he's like your Connor McDavid of
I just
football.
Respect greatness. It almost is similar to LeBron. It's like we like to hate on the really talented people and we hold them to expectations that no one else has, but they're placed on them. And I just think, as you would say, straight from the horse's mouth, Tony, that is ridiculous. I know Michael agrees with me too. I really do. I do. But and kind of just closing this out because I know we almost went a whole hour, the power hour.
Oh gosh,
on the NFL.
Oh, great breakdown.
Yeah, absolutely great call, of course. But what do you think about the bye week between the Super Bowl? Do you think it makes sense?
Hate it.
Really?
Hate it. I hate even more that they put the Pro Bowl in between.
Well, in the Pro Bowl, the flag football game, literally, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is now. What have we resulted to? Like, if you ask me, like it should be Super Bowl should be next weekend.
Yep.
And then a week off, and then the Pro Bowl. Like the Pro Bowl should be 2 weeks after the NFL season. Because for one, I want the people in the Super Bowl, like everyone should be at the Pro Bowl. Like,
Right.
like obviously, like Patty Mahomes should be at the Pro Bowl. Like he's not going to be, obviously. And the fact that it's now flag football.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing, dude?
And you know what it is. It's a combination of everybody needs $1 million to do anything. Nobody can do anything for other people. Everybody's selfish. And then it's such a scared society where we go into this game. Guys can't go all out. They're going to get hurt. Like, and it's like, what did we do for 25, 30 years? And I'm not saying that everybody was going balls to the wall every play, but a Pro Bowl from 1998, I mean, it was pretty representative of a normal game.
Yeah, and you can still like have yourself in pads, have the contact be there.
Yeah.
And you just don't go as hard. Like, it's totally fine.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
That's
dude.
what we're left with.
And even like, honestly, I think hockey does it really well. I'm excited for the All-Star weekend. Because they have like cool skills competitions and stuff. And honestly, the All-Star game is pretty dope too. So you know, them going to 3-on-3 for the All-Star game, that makes sense, dude. But like the shootout competition, the skills competition, like I think the NFL needs to bring more of that stuff back too. I feel like their skill stuff isn't that cool.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But it's gonna be fun. Can't wait. We obviously got a lot of time, you know, almost 2 weeks between now and the Super Bowl. From Arizona, which I think is a great, you know, host venue. And I want to say it's been like 8 years since there was a Super Bowl there.
You want to go?
Yeah. I just saw tickets are like before fees like $4,700 straight, right?
That's pretty ridiculous, dude.
Yep. Corporate America.
700
corporate America.
And I imagine are these good seats?
I'm sure they're nosebleeds. It just, you know, people are gonna gouge when they can gouge. That's just the world we live in, right?
We could boycott the Super Bowl.
See, come on.
Well, no, I mean like nobody go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna do that because the people who have the money are gonna go, and that's how it is for anything. And you know it as well as I do. You know what else you know as well as I do? The world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Patrick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by the car. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh my goodness.
That's the gun right back. Terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin.
It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
All right, Tony. So
Indigo says, "What a waste of money." What do you think about that, Brian?
You know, it's funny and not. It just made me think of it, and this has nothing to do with what Indigo's saying, but it's one of those things. Like I hear it all the time, and it's like people complain about salaries, for instance. You know, baseball, judge's contract, and you know, that's too much money. That's too much money, but it's no different than Brad Pitt making a movie. Just because it's too much money, he's not going to take less money. People are always going to take what the market value is. And the reason why the salaries are so high is because the revenue is so high. So to me, as crazy as it sounds, because it's way more money than we can imagine right now, it's the market value.
Right. Yeah.
But it's interesting. So we find ourselves in a place here in the NHL where we got the All-Star break, you know, coming up. What is it? Games through Tuesday, Tony?
Yeah, I believe so. I think Wednesday. Actually, no, I think Wednesday's the last game.
Wednesday's the last game. Only one game tonight. You know, the Rangers are already on break, but we do have to talk about their victory on Friday night, which I had said, you know, was a big spot. You come off that disappointing loss to Toronto, a game that you feel like you had in every which way. And to come out, dominate Vegas. And the best part, like I had alluded to, Tony called me crazy, Jaroslav Halak getting the start, and it was like Shesterkin was in net. And I know Vegas has been a little bit of a rut, Tony, but at the end of the day, especially offensively. They got their top guys out there. You got your top guys out there to put up 4 goals, to put up 2 in the first, 2 in the third, finishing and closing the right way, playing a really good defensive game, getting goals from 4 different players. You think about Hedl, the hot streak he's been on is 16th in the third period. Kreider having 20, Trocheck having 14, Vesey having 9, or Vesey. I feel like I always mess that one up.
Give me Vesey.
I just feel like this is impressive. And it was finally a game, because I always make this call out with a lock. Every time he's in there, he wins a game. He makes 17 saves. He made 33 saves on 34 shots. Best game possibly that he's had as a Ranger. And now I think, is it 5? Is it 6 straight starts that he's won?
I think it's 5 now.
Unbelievable, though. I mean, it seemed like literally he was going to have to retire because they just.
And when you thought that?
It was an automatic loss. And what was it? He was the old Islander goaltender, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, Corey, who you met and he's commented on the show before, he's a huge Islander fan, and he thought it was just ridiculous.
I remember him. I think he called in or something one day, didn't he? Or did he comment or something?
I think he commented. Yeah. Or actually, did he call in too?
He may have called in as well.
Yeah. And he agrees with me on the babying of the goalies, how it's ridiculous. But that's what I take away from this, Tony, that they were able to bounce back from an awful loss where you could see maybe their head's not being in the right place, maybe feeling a little defeated, a little discouraged. And I just think this is sending the right message going into the All-Star break, and you beat a team that's 15 going into the game was 15-4-3 at on the road. There's nothing not to be impressed about, and you could feel really good in my eyes about how this first half ended up going after a tough start.
Yeah, certainly. You had a really good game. I'm going to highlight Vincent Trocheck. I mean, I think he was one of the stars of the game. He had a goal and assist on Friday, and I was looking up his stats this weekend. He's been winning about 56% of his faceoffs, which is huge. It's actually, I think it's 56.4.8 or maybe. But as of right now, it is a career high for him. Which is exactly what we need him to do. I mean, we won about 55% of our faceoffs last night as a team. Friday night as a team, which again, I mean, that's something we struggled with last season, something that we improved upon this season. That is huge. And on top of that, he contributes to Kreider's goal, I believe, and then he gets a goal of his own. I think this guy Trocheck was a phenomenal pickup. He's a journeyman for sure. He was drafted by Florida years ago. He has several seasons where he's played 82 games, every game of a season too. So, I mean, he's a reliable guy. I'm actually really happy seeing him kind of, seeing how he's been playing throughout this entire season. And of course, you get a goal by Kreider. Hedl, who you mentioned, is on fire. Braden Schneider gets 2 assists, who, first round draft pick by us a couple years ago. I think this is probably going to be his first full season, honestly, with the Rangers. But he's got a few goals. I think he has like 12 assists or something. He's been getting in. He looks like to be a solid defenseman. And, the Rangers getting 40 shots on goal is something I don't say very often. Spread out a lot. Goudreau had 4. Hedl had 2 shots. Kreider had 5. Lafreniere had 3. Panarin had 4. Trocheck had 3. Vesey had 4. Jacob Trouba had 5 shots on goal. He's an interesting guy to honestly look at too. At this point, I think he gets a lot of shit for not really performing well. But I mean, seeing him, 4 hits, 5 shots on goal, a block shot, 1 steal. I mean, the man is trying. You can tell. I do kind of feel bad for him for, again, you look at his year last year. He led the team in hits. I think maybe Ryan Reeves did. But he had I think over 200 hits. He had 140 block shots or something like that. He was someone who played almost every game too. I could see, looking back on last year, why the team would maybe elect him captain. It does kind of suck that he hasn't really been playing well, but the man's trying. And I think that honestly, he is a good part in terms of why the Rangers are scoring 4 goals. Again, he had 5 shots on goal. You see him kind of acting like a captain more and more each day. And like you said, huge win to put 4 goals up on the Knights. The only person who scored from the Knights is Phil Kessel.
I saw that.
But to hold everyone else in the Knights to, to not, Kessel had 4 shots on goal, so he was doing something right. You had Pietrangelo who had 4 shots on goal, who's something, someone I said, the Rangers can try to get, but I don't know, we'll see. But other than that, Jack Eichel, 3 shots, nothing to show for it. Brett Howden, nothing to show it for it. William Karlsson, he had that assist on Kessel's goal. Rangers did a really good job. Stevenson didn't have much. He has 44 points in the season for the Knights. They did a great job in kind of shutting down the Knights. I think the Knights were 0 for 2 in the power play as well. Anytime that the Knights had a man-up advantage, the Rangers are there just to kind of get some lockdown D, not let the Knights get any momentum, because we've seen in the past, they've scored goals late in games. They've taken games, late in the third period by just kind of overwhelming a team. I understand, we did mention the Knights are a little bit of a schneid. But the fact of the matter is they're 29-18-3. They have a great record. They're a great team, lots of talent, a great goaltender as well. And for the Rangers to come in here and play a great game, you absolutely love to see that, dude. On a Friday night, on a Halak game.
Halak, he's becoming a fan favorite, I think, at this point. Every start he's winning.
Wow, Vejmelka out. Halak in.
Wow. Something else I want to mention too.
Saturday game.
Our best, especially best overall contributor to this show and loyal listener, Chokery, wanted me to mention
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes are on a roll, 7-1-2 in their last 10. Second place in the Eastern Conference. In the Bruins, how the mighty have fallen. Both of us have a good time with it. Just not fans of Boston teams.
Right.
It's just how it is, Tony. And they've lost 3 in a row. Still a commanding lead. I think it's 9 points over the Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you right now, and we could save this as a bite and go back to it, like we had the minced meat comment about the Mets in the wild card series. I think they're going to blow it in terms of first place in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, they're still going to be a top contender for the Stanley Cup. I'm not going to deny that. Obviously, the season has been impressive, but I feel like I find myself, and he might be watching the show as well, but Kevin Stackpole, who commented, last show, he goes by Stacks.
Right.
We had the discussion during the Devils' hot streak. I told him, listen, I understand they're having a great season. That period of time is going to come. And I've thought the same thing about the Bruins, and I do believe, and I know they got, I think, one more game till the break tomorrow against Toronto. Another tough game. Call it now. Going to lose that one. So they're going to go into the break. Losers of 4 straight, Tony. And I think it's just, I know they're on pace. I saw too. We were wondering this for a while. I finally saw the numbers. They're on pace to break the all-time regular season win record of 63. NHL. Remember we were trying to think,
figuring it out. Yeah.
But I think that they're gonna come back down to earth, still gonna finish with a great record. But I just think it's one of those things. It's the toughest of the game more than anything. Nothing to be an indictment on their team.
Right.
But hockey's too tough. You don't just dominate and win every team, especially a team like the Bruins at this point. By far, they're getting every team's best effort because they know barely anybody has beaten them this season. So something to keep an eye out for. Hurricanes are impressive. Hurricanes are coming. And like I said, I do think that they have a shot, to make some noise here. Great home team. So it'll be interesting to see, what they look like in the second half. But you have to admit, I'm sure anybody would be a little surprising 3 straight for the Bruins.
Losses?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Obviously it is very surprising. You got to give it to the Hurricanes, though. They played some phenomenal defense in what was kind of a sloppy game, I think, by both teams. 10 power play opportunities between both teams. Boston went 0 for 6. Carolina went 1 for 4. I think Paul Stastny had the power play goal. I love Paul Stastny, former Blue, won the cup with them. But you saw some really broken plays. I think Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis both kind of scored on these kind of broken plays in the neutral zone, breakaway type of deals. Obviously you can't knock it, but they had some great moves at the net to kind of get past Allmark, I believe it was in net for them. But Brady Shea played some great defense too for them. Carolina's got a great defensive unit between Brent Burns.
We have a comment. Not to interrupt.
Cole DeHaan, Brady Shea. Is it Chokery?
Yes, it is.
It was a great game. Let's go Canes, he says.
He knows what it's all about.
You know, I told him to get the Brady Shea jersey. I think he had like 4 takeaways last night or something like that.
Legend, Tony. Legend.
Carolina as a team, I think, had like 17 steals. Carolina played a great game, dude. It was fun.
I really hope we get a series with them. We got to go down for the series, though, because it's so much of a better deal there.
If Carolina beats the Rangers in the series, you're never going to talk Choker again?
Stop it, Tony. Stop it. Obviously, we both want our teams to win, but at the end of the day, hey, if it's us in the Eastern Conference Finals, especially, let's say Bruins get picked off somewhere, I mean, may the best man win, and you got to be happy for the other person. You know what I mean?
He called me this morning and said if the Rangers win, he's not talking to you anymore.
Hockey, like we said, hockey's a tough sport. Hockey's a tough
So you won't ever be invited down to Carolina
again. So that being said, Tony, you actually did mention the Blues. So the only game on the slate, I believe, in Winnipeg tonight. What are we thinking there?
I know you hate Winnipeg, so you taking the Blues, dude?
Wait, so it's in Winnipeg, right?
It's in Winnipeg.
This is tough because
I'm gonna give you the pick of the litter on this one. I think.
Wait, and you're just gonna, no matter what.
I'll go against you. Yeah.
All right. So
you take your time.
Can you at least pull up Daily Faceoff?
Yes, right away.
Well, I'm auditing our picks from Friday just to give everyone an update. Hurricanes won, the Maple Leafs lost, and we only had 2 picks. And you had the Rangers and the Kings, and the Rangers
and the Kings won.
So you get 2, I get 1. All right, so 25.
Dude. Football picks? Football?
Oh, wait, what? Why are these not on here?
Oh, Brian.
But I think we already know. I had the Niners. Did you have the Eagles and the Bengals? I think you and Jay.
Eagles and Bengals, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I get another point for that. So 26. You get pick up 1. So you get 20. So 26 to 20. What do we have for Daily Face?
Unconfirmed, but Biddington and Hellebuck in there.
Actually, Tony, I'm going to take the Jets. So you got the Blues?
You're taking the Jets?
Yep.
I'll take the Blues, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. So can you look up too? What do we got tomorrow? Is it back to a full slate?
I think it's 2 games, 3 games.
The schedule makers, the quirks.
Yeah, and then Wednesday's 2 games, and then that's it for the week.
Kind of disappointing, no?
Kind of tough, dude. Yeah,
but
tough
Bruins Maple Leafs tomorrow should be fun.
Bruins Maple Leafs is Wednesday, I thought.
Oh, because isn't tomorrow the 1st?
Wednesday's the 1st. Tomorrow's the 31st.
Wow.
Oh, change your calendar, bud. Oh, no.
Doesn't matter.
Tomorrow we have some good games, though. Kings and Canes.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see that. Dude, Canes playing a lot of games because they play again on Wednesday.
Works to the schedule.
Caps, Blue Jackets, and Senators, Canadiens, dude.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens tonight. But just a couple of things here on the way out. The first, and it was on my story, and I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, it's all over social media.
Oh, really?
The end of that Celtics-Lakers game from Saturday.
Oh, LeBron?
Patrick Beverley with the camera on the court. I mean, was that not the most ridiculous sequence of events you've ever seen in a basketball game?
I mean, I will say, preface this. I mean, it did look like a foul to me. Joker.
We will still talk. LOL. It will be fun to go to a playoff game together.
So you say now, Joker. But yeah. So for the whole LeBron thing, I don't know, dude. I mean, I understand he did it fouled. It was a bad missed call. But he was like the tantrum. The camera thing too. Where did he even get that? Whose camera was that?
Patrick
dude?
Beverley got it from a credentialed media member. I don't know if he ripped it away or they just gave it to him. They probably did just give it to him. But you know what? I think everything was justified, and I understand it did seem theatrical, with LeBron on the court. But at the same time, you got to think about what the Lakers are up against. They started 3-10. They had a tough, disappointing season last year.
Are they doing good now?
They want to make the playoffs. I mean, they're 3 or 4 games under, but from a 3-10 start, they're doing well since that point. AD just came back, so it's just frustration boiling over, and it's the Boston frustration because LeBron, Boston, it's always been very hectic whenever he's played them. And then on top of it, that ref I mean, talk about having your head in your derriere, Tony. I mean, he was watching the thing, and then on top of it, I don't know. I don't know if there's even any rule about Beverly showing him the picture on the camera. That was hilarious. But to tee him up, I mean, it's like, you blew it, bud. What, you're teeing him up? Like, that's embarrassing for you, no? I mean,
I know it is. I think I saw him also reffing the Chiefs-Bengals game, actually, yesterday, too.
But that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
And I'm just interested. I mean, Boston, obviously, I think they still have the best record in the NBA. But, you know, as we get further into the season, what's going to happen? I would love to see, you know, obviously it would be nice for the Lakers to make the finals. I mean, they just did pick up Rui Hachimura. I think he might end up having an impact. Russ has played better, even though he's still terrible. But he's contributed. I think AD coming back is big. So we'll see if they can, you know, get up to speed. But specifically the Eastern Conference, for whatever the reason may be, since 2008, since Garnett saying you got to believe, and Doc getting the Gatorade bath on the court, the Celtics have come up short. Obviously, you know, we saw it last year in the NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I'm just saying, just watch out. Get healthy, get in a rhythm. This Milwaukee Bucks team could give them trouble. I think even the Nets, despite the dysfunction that they've had, it seems like there's finally a sense of cohesiveness there. So that's a team to watch. But between the Nets, the Bucks, and the 76ers as well, you know, Embiid is ridiculous. So I think it will be fun. I think we will start to talk a little more basketball once you know, the NFL subsides, before baseball gets going. But then obviously we know we need to carve out about an hour each show for baseball, so there won't be too much time, Tony. But I have to say, I haven't really watched much basketball this year.
Yeah.
The end of that game was kind of crazy to see.
It was.
And that's the stuff I love. But it's a shame. It's a shame with the NBA. The problem is, other than the stars not trying and sitting out, is that it seems like no matter what, unless we're talking playoffs, the best part of the game, the only watchable part of the game, is the last couple minutes.
Yeah.
Sad.
And even sometimes that drags on.
Sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
Exactly. So had to mention that. Had to mention Max Homa winning over the weekend
dude.
at Torrey Pines, the Farmers Insurance Open. So quite the performance from him. And he's really come on strong with some victories. I want to say he has like 4 victories the last year and a half. You know, whatever the case may be. But he's a guy who really hadn't done much up until that point, and he's won a bunch of tournaments, like coincidentally or not, you know, in his native state of California. But nevertheless, impressive stuff. And in the sight lines, the views, you know, the north, the south course, really was a great weekend. You know, we had a lot of big names in contention for most of the tournament. You know, Colin Morikawa finishing 3 shots back in third at 10 under par. But, you know, Homa just a 6 under par in the final round, clinching this for him. John Rahm with a little flutter last round to finish tied 7th at 8 under after going 2 over in the final round. Tony Finau finishing 9th, 7 under. That, I believe that was my pick here. Jason Day, a guy who, you know, former major champion who had struggled, finishing top 7th. I think that's an accomplishment for him. Ricky Fowler, Michael's favorite, was in the top 5 most of the week, finished 11th. And your guy, Xander Schauffele, -4, tied for 13th. So we had guys that were in the conversation, Tony. I mean, it's tough enough to pick winners. So I think we have to respect our ability there.
See Xander, the nice hole-in-one?
I actually missed that one.
You serious?
Yeah. Wow. Oh, it was on the trademark hole, right?
Yeah.
That hole is ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
Imagine, like, I could just play the hole all day. Like, just keep going. I mean, the view, the ocean in the background.
Oh, beautiful.
But no, Xander is a competitor, and I hope he doesn't go to live, because there's been some conversation about that. But you want to see him week in, week out.
You can see him in the CW.
The CW. You want to see him, you know, competing against everyone. And, you know, so that was a great tournament. And following it up, we have the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which was the tournament before my favorite non-major of the year, the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Obviously played in conjunction with the Super Bowl, coincidentally enough, at the same week as the Super Bowl site, which is, you know, you don't get too often. But this Pebble Beach will be fun. You know, another picturesque course. They do the Pro-Am, so I'm sure Bill Murray will be there for the Pro-Am. I know you always look forward to that, Tony. So I can't wait for that.
We know you don't.
Come on.
Dude, Bill Murray.
Enough.
We know we don't like him.
But golf, it's fun, and we're really getting into the swing of things.
Tony. Come on.
That's a good one. That's a good new one, right?
A new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting into the swing of things, no pun intended, but can't wait. And then I do believe there's a special announcement about a gaming corner tonight.
I do believe. Yes, there is, dude. 6:30.
Something about a heads up matchup.
Possibly if Brian is down.
I think we're announcing it live on the line.
Brian, 6:30.
I will be there, and I have to say I have a really good chance to win.
Really?
Not like NHL, which I did play over the weekend, by the way.
Oh, you getting better?
I won, I think, one game, and I scored 2 goals in 3 games and won one of them. So I think I've played the game 7 times and scored 4 goals. But it's progress. Everyone was getting riled, though. Everyone was like, "Oh, I haven't played this in so long. This is the best."
Oh, you were playing with the boys, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was riled.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Love it.
But yes, I am joining. So heads up, Warzone. Are we going gridlock?
We gotta.
100%.
Gears 3 tonight. Let's fucking go, dude.
We're saying 6:30, maybe flexible, or what do we think there?
Possibly earlier than
Yeah.
that. I think last time we were definitely ready earlier, probably maybe even 6 o'clock.
Okay, so yeah, we'll
see.
update
Yeah,
everybody.
because I got class till like 4:45. We'll come here,
Sounds
set
good.
it up, dude.
No, I haven't played Gears in forever, and it's funny
Yeah,
too.
me either, dude.
I really like most shooting games. Don't like, but Gears of War, man. There's something about it. Switching the guns, the chainsaw, the shotgun. I really do like it.
Let's fucking go, Brian.
Yeah. I feel like this is a big surprise to you.
Huge surprise.
So let's go. We'll keep everyone posted on that.
But first, still tight. What's next? An Astros Alex Bregman jersey on the Statue of Liberty.
Hey, I mean,
That's kind of funny.
I don't know. I know I guess I'm disrespectful to the Giants, but it's like I just don't think it's a big deal. I just think, you know what it is? You know why it's not a big deal, Tony? Because other than this year, the Giants have made a complete embarrassment out of themselves for 6-7 years in a row. They win one playoff game, and all of a sudden they think they're Super Bowl champions. Earn it next year. Because I'm telling you, every single time we have a situation where a team has a surprising year, what do they do the next year? I want to say the fail rate's over 50%. And you know what I'm talking about.
No, yeah, I understand that. But I'm sure if you were in a similar situation where maybe the Yankees had lost out of
the Yankees, Tony. That's a completely different situation. Sorry, I had to do it.
If the Yankees had lost out of the fucking playoffs, whatever, and the Red Sox advanced, and all of a sudden there's Red Sox colors in the Empire State Building, would you not be tight?
Yeah, Tony. But I hold the Yankees in a different regard.
Well, it's the same concept.
I know, but the Giants are kind of weak. I don't know.
Indigo likes golf, by the way.
There we go.
Who doesn't like golf?
So Indigo will have to tune in next time we do a little gaming corner PGA. I feel like we're due for that.
Yeah, we are due for that.
Got to get the basketball all worked in with the new Madden.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of things to do. Maybe a revisit the baseball, or we'll wait for the new show, which I would imagine
comes out in November. No, soon.
No, it's
June.
That's
like summertime, springtime.
No, but it's got to start before the season. It's got to come out in March.
You think
so?
So?
We're not that far away. They still haven't announced the cover though, so
yeah.
You would think production for that would take a while. But
you would think it's just Pete Alonso.
But we really, I really like what we're doing with the gaming corner. So I really encourage
me too, dude.
Everybody to tune in and we had some. What was it? Was it Friday you were playing with Jay and Manny, or was it just Jay?
Jay and I were playing
Bonds.
GoldenEye. Yeah, James Bond. You're a big James Bond fan.
The name's Bones. So if you guys missed that one, that is available in the archives on our YouTube page. Like I always say, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Costume, as well as something like this, the merch.
Hell yeah, baby.
.com. Really appreciate though everybody tuning in and continuing to comment, like, and subscribe. Everybody, we'll see you later for Gaming Corner. We want everybody to enjoy the day. Enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.